Looking to improve your life, brush up on your personal growth techniques? You are in the right place. Welcome to Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap.
And welcome back, everybody, to Life's Little Lessons. And today I have a special guest. This is a lady that I've talked about, or at least hinted about, over the podcast that I've actually recorded earlier. And when we talk about having a mastermind, I've talked about going to different masterminds. This is the lady that actually created a mastermind that I'm currently going to here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So if you get a chance to go to a mastermind where you could brainstorm your ideas with other people, I would so highly suggest you do so, or even create one of your own. And this lady, she's actually the co-founder of a company called Vital Medias. She does all kinds of different things. She wears many hats with the company. She works in the sales area. She works with marketing. She also does it with the organization. She does a lot of different things. I feel that you're all going to learn a lot today from our special guest today. So today we have a lady by the name of Brittany Rohr. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'm so glad you're able to do this. I feel very humbled that you're actually doing this for me. You've done so much for me and so many other people in town through this last year or so of the mastermind that you've put together.
Thank you.
So, Brittany, I know you actually have a couple of different businesses, but your main business that you're working on right now is called Vital Medias. Could you tell me about what that is? What is it that you do there, and why is that so passionate for you to be doing this business?
Sure. So my first business that was in consulting was called Roaring Reviews. And Roaring Reviews is a company that I started kind of accidentally, but it was all about consulting. And the clients that I was getting were extremely wealthy and very well-based businesses. I was coming in and doing technology consulting, marketing, and all of that. The cool part was I was making great money and getting trained by lots of people, making a lot of great connections. So I actually didn't even go out into Vegas when I moved here to really get to know anybody. So about 4 years later, I realized that I hadn't known anybody. Like I had no friends here because I was traveling so much. So I started going out and networking, and I started to realize that there was something that I was missing. People in Vegas, it's not just Vegas, I'm sure, but people in Vegas in particular are getting taken advantage of with website companies and social media companies. They're paying $600 for something that we offer for $200. And so I wanted to create a solution, and obviously I didn't have it for $200 at that time, but I was frustrated that a new business owner couldn't just start a business and with a very limited income, do all of the things like all the hats, right? Social media is a hat, and it's a very time-consuming hat, or it's a very expensive hat. And most small businesses don't have that kind of money or that kind of time to do everything. So I wanted to solve that problem. So Justin and I sat and we brainstormed and we figured it out. We created a system. So instead of it's kind of like the assembly, right? Assembly line. So we created a system to make websites and social media more affordable. So that was my passion. My mission and my passion is for every small business to be able to afford a website and social media marketing. That way they can spend that time to grow their business.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah.
when we talk about social media marketing, a lot of people hear those words, but they don't really know what that means. What do you mean by social media marketing?
Well, in social media, there's a few different pieces you have to have in order to have a successful social media campaign. One of those points is to post every day. What people don't do correctly is they post about their company every day. When people are on social networks, they are there for a social reason. And if your company comes off like a sale, another sale over here, the problem with that is people feel spammed. So they're not going to like that product. They're not going to like that page. They're not going to want to see that content anymore. So they pull away. So what you want to do in social media is to do parallel content. That's what I call it. Parallel content is something, so if you're a realtor, you would do DIY home improvements. You could do, if you were a yoga studio, you do healthy eating, right? So healthy recipes, things that are exciting to your target market, but not necessarily about your business. They're parallel. So that's one piece. And we provide that for a very low cost. Again, because the whole point is you should be posting every day, and it should be parallel, and then you should have bursts of branded content 2 to 3 times a week.
What do you mean by branded content?
So branded content is the second piece. So branded content could be, life's little secret or life's little lessons, being on a meme, right? And saying, what's your lesson? Something like that, something that causes them to know what you do and who you are, and it causes them to want to engage. So you do that 2 to 3 times a week, and now people are going, oh, I didn't realize that he did that, or oh, that's what that means. Oh, I want to connect with this person because I didn't realize, right? On social media, we talk all the time. There's a post, it was kind of popular for a while, but it said, did you know I do this, right? And it was fill in the blank of whatever you do. And it was very popular for a while, and you had no idea. People were like, oh, I didn't know that you did apps, or I didn't know you did websites, or I didn't know you did, right? Whatever it is. So it's really cool to see how many people don't really know what you do. You can talk about it all day long, but they don't really hear you. If they see it on the feed over and over and over again, at some point they're going to know.
And when you say feed and social media, I'm assuming you're predominantly talking about Facebook?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, all of social media, it all has the same, you always have a wall. You always have some type of place where all of the content is aggregated. And then on that wall or that feed, most of them call it feed, but Facebook calls it the wall. It allows you to have, basically see what Facebook or the whatever platform it is wants you to see. So for instance, on your podcasts, if somebody starts to like your podcast all the time, they're going to see your post more often. Because they like your stuff. And Facebook goes, or any of the platforms go, oh, well, he likes this. Clearly, we want to show him more of things he likes. So he's on our platform longer. So if you get liked by somebody more often, then they're going to start seeing more of your stuff, which is why you want to engage with them. The more you engage, the better your posts are going to be, the more people are going to see your post. A really good example is that post that's continuing to go out saying, oh, Facebook says only 5 to 10 friends see this post. Comment if you see it, so I know how many friends actually see it. It's kind of crap because literally every time somebody else comments, they put it out to more people because it's like, oh, it's a viral post. So yeah, there's 3 different pieces. You've got your parallel content, you've got your branded content, which is 2 to 3 times a week, and then you have your sales content. And sales is supposed to be meant to have a more close oriented or an option to buy. So if you had, for instance, a book, right, and you wanted to sell your book, you'd say, do you know how to reverse engineer your goals, right? Okay. And then you have the name of your book.
Okay.
And that way people would know that you have something for sale, and then you'd say, 15% off if you comment here.
Okay.
So you do that like once a week, twice a week at the most.
Now, on these posts, are these on your personal wall, or are these on your business page, or are you saying both?
Always on your business page, and share it to your personal.
Okay, so I want to make sure, because Brittany says this almost at every mastermind that I've been to over the last few years. Always post on your business page and then share it to your personal. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to guess why you're doing that is because by doing that, they know that you have that business. So therefore, they're going to find out more about you rather than just hearing all this stuff from your personal life that's going on.
It is so much more than that. It's actually, yes, that is a big piece. So what Kevin is really saying is if you're on Kevin's wall or on my wall and you're scrolling through my feed, you will see my business being shared on my personal wall. So if you went and found me personally, you would know what I do because I share my stuff, right? The other piece of that is every time your post, any of your posts on your business page gets shared to your personal or a group or another person's page, or another person's personal profile, anytime it gets shared, Facebook goes, ooh, rank that higher. Let's show that to more people. It's going viral. When you share a post, you're edifying that post.
Okay.
So Facebook's algorithm reads that as, ooh, this post is good. This person's creating really good content. Let's show this to more people, which is why likes, so I'll give you the range. If you want to say like between 1 and 10 as a good, easy to understand, you get a like, or an emoji, that's like a 1 or 2 on the scale from 1 to 10. If you get a comment, it's like a 3, 4, right? Maybe 5. If you get a share, it's like a 10 because you're completely edifying that post. So every time any one of those happens, it starts to help that algorithm to boost your post to get seen by more people. If you have 100 people following your page, maybe 6, 7 people are seeing every post you do. That's it. But every time you share, that number grows. Every time you get engagements, that number grows.
So let's say I put something on my page,
Mhm.
and then you go there and you share it on your personal page or
Yep,
on your business page. Let's just say personal page, just so we can get
sure.
very clear here. Now, now that's going to get in other people's feeds that are friends of yours. It's going to show up has a higher ranking.
Yeah.
So, and these are so therefore I'm actually getting other people that could either share my post from you or see my post from you that I have no idea who they are because they're not friends of mine.
Yes. And that is why the power of posting and sharing to your personal and sharing to other groups is so immense. On Facebook, if you have a business page, it's extremely difficult to grow Facebook pages because they don't show your stuff to a lot of people. They want you to pay for ads. It's a pay to play platform now.
Mhm.
So, like if you did this 3 years ago, it was a much easier platform. You would definitely have no problem. But now it's a pay to play platform. And so they definitely make you, do all of these things. So if you want your business page to get out there, you want to share everything to your personal page. You want to go and post everything that you do into groups, as many as possible. And you want to like all of your own posts. You want to comment on after anybody else comments on anything. There's a lot of different keys you can do.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so if I put something on my Kevin A. Dunlap author page, which is one of my business pages, or even the Life's Little Lessons podcast page,
Yep.
and then I will share it to my wall, then anybody that makes a comment, I will comment on that from my personal self, correct?
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
then also if somebody were to, what was I going to think about here? If I'm going to like it, am I liking it as myself or am I liking it as my business?
Do both. They both
Okay.
count as an engagement.
Okay.
And the other thing is, if say a post, you wanted it to go further, say you don't like it right away. You post a post on your business page, you share it to your personal. It's not really getting, exposure like you want it to. Go back in maybe 6 hours later, 8 hours later, and like it or
Okay.
comment. If you do that, again, Facebook puts it back up to the top again, and now it's going back out there.
Should that be a standard thing you should do? Like, say if you posted at 9 o'clock in the morning, is you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or at 5 o'clock when you're getting off of work, go back there and just re-like all of your own posts?
Yeah, you can do that. It's time consuming, but yeah, it works.
Okay.
It's the organic way to do it.
Okay, well, so those of you that are listening to this show or watching the show, she just gave you I think, some very, very important tidbits of advice for free now of what things that you could do to help actually promote your own business. So you're telling me when you first got started, you were wanting to help basically the small guy, the small business getting started. Why are you looking at helping the small guy so much when in the past, your previous business, you're dealing with the big guys, so the ones that had the deep pockets? What changed your desire to do that?
So I come from a very small means family. I grew up on a horse ranch and dairy farm back in Florida, and I had to work for everything that I've ever done. I got gifted, I want to say. It was very coincidental, serendipity, that I met my very first consulting client. I wasn't looking for a client. He found me. We just started talking, and then I gave him some good advice, and he wanted to hire me. So it was extremely serendipitous. Because of that, I feel like I should always give back because he gave me a chance when I was supposed to be fun background story. I used to be in Cirque du Soleil. I used to be an aerialist, and I moved to Vegas for that. But I have a health condition that prevents me from performing. And so I moved out here and then literally had nothing. I came out here expecting to be in the show. So I didn't come out with tons of savings and all of that. I came out to perform. And then when I couldn't do that, I literally didn't have another choice. And so I was stressed out, and I was at a bar. I was talking to this guy, and he literally was talking to this idea, and I thought it was stupid. And I told him that. And he was like, well, what would you do? And so I told him, and he was like, that's brilliant. Can I hire you? And if it wasn't for that meeting, right, that random, just engagement, I had no idea who he was. I didn't know he was a self-made millionaire, and he was a lawyer, and he had all these other businesses. I had no idea. I just told him what I thought, and he was awesome. He mentored me. He introduced me to a lot of amazing people. I helped him grow his business. And along the way, it was just this beautiful, beautiful partnership. And I feel like I should do that for other people too. I know I didn't have it easy, at least at first. I've had a dance studio back in Florida as well. And so I had to close that to move out here. And it wasn't doing like phenomenal, but it was doing okay. It was breaking even at that point, which is awesome. That takes a lot of work for brick and mortar. So I was proud, but when I moved out here, I didn't have that backup plan. And so he gave me that, and I feel obligated. I want to help. I love it. That's why the mastermind even got started, was because I really wanted to help people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you shared that story, because I did not know that story about you.
Yeah.
And I actually did not know. I knew you grew up in Florida, because I grew up in Florida as well, but I didn't know it was on a small dairy farm. Now, what I liked what you just shared there was, and this is actually, for those of you that are listening to this show, there's a number of other shows before this one, and there's going to be a number of shows after this one. But how many times somebody would say that when they were dealing essentially with maybe their first 1 or 2 or 3 clients, it was just by sheer coincidence, and it was like, you were open and you were receptive to something, and then even though you thought it was complete crap after when you first got started, it actually turned out to be something that is now your career path.
Yeah, it literally, everything that has happened that's really good for me has always been like serendipity. I did not plan for it. It just happened. And so, it's be thankful and be open.
Okay, fantastic. And I know you have a couple of other businesses going on, and I'm not going to go too much into those, but I do want you to touch bases on them, because the reason I want her to talk about this is you can have multiple things going on at the same time. You don't have to limit yourself to just one pathway. So could you tell us a little bit about some of the other projects that you have going on right now outside of Vital Medias?
So I have a cannabis technology platform. It's called Cannabis Checkout. I literally created this platform to fill a gap in that industry. I put all the money into it. I have one investor, and I've got lots of people who are working on the platform now. So that business is made for a map technology that actually can be implemented in any other. And so that's exciting. Because that one has a lot of other future benefits as well as the cannabis industry. Then I've got another one called a structured water. And that water, it's still in the marketing phase. It's in beta. We're still figuring out exactly how we want to move forward in the market. But that is if you look up structured water and what it can do for you, it's a healing water. If you spray it on your skin, it pulls the stem cells from your body into that area. So it helps you to heal faster. The problem is that how do you market that, right, without having extreme amounts of money to test it and to get the FDA's approval and all kinds of other things. So that one's still in the funding/research phase, but it's exciting too. And I own a 20% share of that one. Okay. So it's not something I'm putting, all my complete attention into, but I am putting some. And then I've got, I'm on the board of Startup NV, which is a nonprofit here in the whole state of Nevada. We are the only incubator for Las Vegas and Reno, to include all of the rural areas as well. And so basically with that, I just mentor other businesses, and since it's a nonprofit, we're all volunteers. So. Okay.
And how big is this group of, how big is this organization as far as the organizers?
I think we have like 14 or 15 now members. Okay. So yeah. Well, and then we have about, I think, almost 20 businesses that we all mentor.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I knew you did that. I wasn't exactly sure what it was that you did with that company.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'd like to move into some of the other areas that I always cover on this show, and I know you've already covered a little bit of this already, but could you tell me about when you were starting either Vital Medias or your other companies? Could you tell us about some of your early successes that you had in those businesses?
Early successes, I would say with the networking, that really gave me a foothold here in Las Vegas. I went out networking probably 2 nights a week. And I really liked networking. As long as you go out and you're open, networking is great. If you go in closed-minded and you're reserved and you stay in your little corner, it doesn't do anything for you. But I would say that networking gave me a good foothold, which was really nice. Other successes that were right away, it's kind of hard because Roaring Reviews really helped Vital Medias. So I would say that one first meeting that got me started for the consulting side That was great. That was probably my biggest success. That would be right away.
And what about some of your recent successes that you've had?
Recent successes. Well, I work with a lot of big companies now. So I've got, let's see, the largest account I have right now, they actually are creating a new smart city in Nashville, which is really exciting. They're working with Cisco on developing a iBeacon that provides power and Wi-Fi. And so they're making Nashville the first smart city.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, because if I don't understand it, there's the
Sure.
audience may not understand it either.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I get excited and I talk in my own language. So basically what an iBeacon is it's the size of a quarter, right? It's a little tiny piece of technology. And they place them around the city. They place them on like light posts around the city, so that way every place has coverage. And it provides, so say you're walking around Nashville and you have your cell phone, you will have power being put into your cell phone via the air, and then also Wi-Fi. So it will be the first smart city here. So
you'll be able to access Wi-Fi anywhere for free from your cell phone by just connecting to these different little beacons.
Yeah.
Okay.
And power, so you won't have to go look for a plug. So,
well,
yeah.
So how does it provide? Does it provide power like through a Bluetooth type technology, or?
That's something I don't know. I'm consulting them on marketing, so but that's what they're doing right now. They've signed the contract's already been signed, so they're in Nashville.
I know some of that technology has been around since during Tesla, when he was doing his studies on electromagnetism, that he was powering light bulbs that he was just holding in his hand.
Yeah.
So that was what the 30s, 20s. So that was almost 100 years ago.
I know, we're finally doing something with it.
Finally.
So it's exciting. Yeah, but I would say that's a really cool client. I have a lot of fun with that one. But yeah, I guess that would be something neat.
And this is something I've never asked on the show before. I've never gone down this road, but because you do the local Las Vegas Mastermind on every Saturday mornings, what inspired you to do that? I know you want to say you were giving back, but what inspired you to do that, and what keeps you doing it on a week-to-week basis?
Okay, so that started because I was meeting with business owners, networking, right? Because I was starting to network, and I was spending way, way, way too much time with each one of them. Because I would meet them and they would say something and I'd be like, oh, have you tried this? Or, hey, if you do this, 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 and then you do this, this, and this will really boom your business. And we would be going hours and hours. The problem with that is I was giving away my time for free when I charge for my time. That's what I do. I'm a consultant. So by giving away my time so much, I was starting to hurt the business. So my business partner and I sat down and he goes, well, if you want to give your time, then give it on your own time. And that way it doesn't take away from the business, because I have a fiduciary duty to make my business successful. So I was like, okay, I'll do free consulting on Saturday mornings. And that's where it started. And actually you were one of the first meeting actually. And so I think it was the first one. Anyway.
I don't think it was the first one, because
no,
maybe the third or fourth meeting, because I met you at a YouTube meetup.
That's right.
And it was already going on, and you're still meeting at your offices up in the northwest part of Vegas.
That's right. That's right.
But but to be honest with you guys, this was about 13, maybe 14 months ago.
Yeah.
When I started going there, and I think when I was going there was basically about 5 or 6 people that were going there, and then it's now you have 20, 30 plus people every single week now.
Our biggest week was 52.
Wow.
Our lowest week was obviously when we first started. We haven't had a under 20 week in a long time. About 25 to 35 is our average now, which is really cool. But yeah, I started to give back because I really love helping business owners. It makes me feel good. And I really do enjoy helping. But I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing damage to my own business. So I had to make that decision. And then after, so long, it really became into more of a mastermind than a consulting group. Other really amazing people like yourself came, and you have great ideas, and everybody contributing made a much bigger and better impact. So I made it into a mastermind. I just converted it over, and now it's amazing. And I still go every week because I feel good doing it.
Yes, and I would attest that she's there almost every week, and when she's not there, she's either ill or she's out of town. So, but
Yep.
if you're not one of those two, she's always been there. And and the reason I went down this road is because I've not had a originator of a mastermind on the show before. So
Mhm.
for those of you that are out there listening and you're thinking about how can I be around other people, you can go onto websites like meetup.com or possibly LinkedIn or Facebook and find masterminds in your area, or even better yet, do what Brittany did and just start your own.
Yes.
And how
Consistency.
she grew it, in my opinion, how she grew it so fast was she was networking like a mad woman, like going for an entire year, going to at least 2, 3, 4, 5 events. You
Yeah.
belong to different clubs as well that meet on a biweekly or weekly basis. And these are paid organizations, and you've gotten people to come in from that way. And
Mhm.
for me, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about technologies I did not know, so it's been beneficial for me. And even when I decided to launch this second season of this podcast, Life's Little Lessons, 3 or 4 of the people have actually come from the mastermind as well. Brittany being one, and those of you that may have heard of Rob, he was another one, and Robin Eckersley, it was another one. So there are people
Yeah.
that have come from the show. And actually, to be completely honest, in October 2017, on the week that I was actually launching my show, relaunching the show, the very first episode was with a lady by the name of Tracy Samlow. And if you actually listen to the podcast, I met her that Saturday, interviewed her the Wednesday, and she was launched on Thursday. So when we were talking about on that show, like, hey, we've only known each other for 5 days. We had literally only known each other for 5 days, but
Oh,
she came from the mastermind. So, and she's
yeah.
only been once, but I'm sure she'll come back sometime.
Yeah.
So let's actually get that coin and flip it upside down now. So we've talked
Okay.
about your successes. However, I strongly feel, and I've said this on probably almost every single show, is you learn more from your failures. And those of you that know me, I don't believe in the word failures, because the word failures is it's not a relevant word, because I've pointed this out quite a few times, and through my NLP certification, the word failure does not exist. All it is feedback. And how you interpret it is if you want to say it's a success or a failure, because some of the biggest failures that happen out there ended up being their greatest successes. On Rob's show, we talked about the Post-it notes. That was a monumental failure. They were trying to get a super adhesive glue, and they got a glue that could barely stick to anything. But then realized, hey, put it on a piece of paper, and it became their huge success.
Yeah.
So tell us about some of your, let's start off with talk about some of your early failures, because a lot of people that are just getting started are going to have challenges. They're going to have results that they did not want, which they're going to label as a failure. Could you tell me about some of those early, let's say, challenges or setbacks that you had in growing either Vital Medias or your other business?
So I would say the dance studio is probably where I had a lot more of my failures.
Okay.
So with the dance studio, I was literally creating this awesome pole fitness studio. If for those of you who don't know, I also am a pole dancing champion. Back my previous life, right? And so I created this pole dancing studio for fitness. The problem was I was in an area that was very small, and we didn't have like new and upcoming, trends at all. So I was marketing to basically not my target market. I put it into a place that really shouldn't have been there. I should have, done it somewhere else. But I did it anyway. It took me about a year to get revenue positive. And most businesses take between 6 months and a year. Most businesses don't know that. And so they spend all their money right up front thinking, 30 days later, I'll be making money. I did the same thing. So started the dance studio. I had a terrible time with marketing. I used Craigslist like crazy. And I did get people from there and a lot of word of mouth. But I learned that marketing is one of the biggest pieces. And when I started not making enough money, I cut out marketing and realized that was a big mistake. So when I started Vital Medias, after helping a lot of other bigger companies, do really well, I realized like I didn't have the same issues because I saw them coming. So I ran Vital Medias basically like stair stepping. I knew the steps to take, and I just took one step after the other. With Vital Medias, we also, we run into, issues every once in a while. For instance, we have our program called our Envy program, where we help to people on Instagram and Twitter to gain followers. We do that really well. The problem is that Facebook, we can't do it the same way because Facebook's API doesn't allow other people in. And so in order to get faster traction, it had to be done manually, which means it wasn't cheap. It wasn't affordable. It wasn't an effective option for small businesses. So we had to develop an option, which is how we created Social Synergy. So I would say that majority of the people should be using Facebook because of its a massive potential. It's the #1 search engine, really. It competes with Google. It competes with YouTube. And if you don't realize that, go try searching something on Facebook and see what you find, because it's crazy how awesome they are at searching already. The problem is you cannot get organic growth, not easily. So we created a program for that, but it took us a long time to realize that was our issue. Our clients were having that issue, which made it our issue. You know, we can do postings, we can do branded posts. If you do all of the postings right and correctly, if you don't actually get it out there, if you have 100 followers and the same 100 followers seeing the same post all the time, it's not really going to grow. And so we had to figure out a solution for that, because our clients, we had some cancellations because they weren't getting the growth. And it wasn't something we did wrong, but it was something that Facebook made it difficult to do unless you were doing paid advertising, which they didn't really have the budget to do.
Okay.
So I would say that was a big failure for us. I can't stand losing clients over something that, you know, a solution that we tried to provide. So, but yeah, Social Synergy came out of that. So I would say it's a success afterwards.
Okay, and that's one thing that you, especially if you're going to be in the technology fields or you could be hiring people in the technology fields, things can change in a heartbeat. And Facebook is a perfect example, because just the way they do ads has changed in the last 6 months, and then what they did in the past. So, and some of it's for the better, and some of it's not. So. Yeah. So that's just something you have to be aware of whenever you're hiring outside companies in technology. Now, I'm not going to say not to fire people that are incompetent, and that's a different story. But there can be a fine line between actual incompetence and apparent incompetence versus actual. Because apparent is what you see in the Facebook. The actual is what's actually really occurring. Right.
Yep. Okay. Exactly. So you have to keep up with Facebook's algorithms and knowing what they're doing and how they're trying to push people which direction. But again, you know, getting organic traction on Facebook has been a problem.
Okay, and I'm glad and thank you for sharing with that, Brittany. And also, I'd like to find out about some of your more recent failures, the ones or challenges or setbacks that you may have had. You could be talking about cannabis checkout. You could be talking about vital medias, or anything along those lines. Anything that you would like to share there?
So I would think, I think that my biggest failure or a setback is probably a better word, is my health. I have to deal with a condition that literally causes my bodily systems, anything that works automatically, not to work all the time. So in the last 2 years, I've flown around, and I've had to do this while running a business. But I've literally flown around to 4 different universities to help to get my condition more, for them to learn more about it. I'm in 2 research studies, but it causes me to faint, and it causes me to have all kinds of weird things, like my gallbladder just stopped working one day. Wow. So they've had to remove it, and I wasn't able to eat for 3 months because it didn't show up on the CAT scan like it was supposed to if it had stones, because it didn't have any stones. So anytime anything goes wrong with me, because my system doesn't work the same way, blood tests don't show certain things, you know, CAT scans won't show certain things. So I've had to go through, in the last, few years, a tremendous amount of mental upkeep, because it is extremely difficult to stay motivated. And I've had to work through, big deals. When I get more stressed out, of course, that makes my system worse. So whenever I'm having a really awesome new client, at the same time, I have to tone down my excitement level, because any stress, whether it's positive or negative, actually affects me. So I've had to learn not to be excited about certain things, not to get too excited. I've had to hire lots of people and make my business so it can run on its own. For instance, my company, Vital Medias, if I say for today, all of a sudden I just couldn't do anything anymore. I had to go and lay in bed and be on bed rest for 2 months. my company would still run.
Okay.
And so I've had to overcome, I guess, the health for sure.
And that's a good point that you're making, because a lot of the people here are solopreneurs and doing everything in their own, and they feel they have to do everything on their own. Yet I know we've talked about on a number of different shows. It's in one of my signature talks, is building your team. It's building your team. And we even talked about it. I think before the show, in our little pre-interview, we talked a little bit about that. However, a lot of people are slow to build their team, yet because of your health condition, because of your health situations, you are almost forced to build it.
Yes,
because otherwise,
is exactly right. Yes.
Because if let's say you were having your gallbladder removed and you're going to be on bed rest for 3 months, but you're the one that's doing all the blogging, you're doing all the people's Facebook posts, you're doing all of that, you can't do that from bed.
Nope. The only thing I can't do is consulting, and I just shut down my hours, and that's it. Everything else runs automatically, and our business is making enough money now, so our residual income, I wouldn't even have to make sales at this point. Our residual income is fine. So we had to overcome that. It didn't just happen overnight, right? Hiring people is extremely it's a lot of work. It's very stressful. Finding the right fit, and all of our people work from home, so that can be stressful or it can be uplifting. It depends on your business and you. But yeah, that was hard, having to build a team right away.
Okay.
Before you get all the processes worked out.
Well, and part of the working out the process is actually hiring that team person. I know back in a few years ago when I was hiring virtual assistants, basically meaning they're employees that are usually in another country to do a lot of my online tasky stuff. And I mean, I actually took them through 5 levels of trust before there was level 1 through level 5. And the level 1 was I would give them only so much access to my business. Level 2, I gave them a little bit more, but they had to build consistency, and they had to build that work ethic, or being able to actually be capable of doing the work. Right. And then at the very final level, I said, "Oh, here's my GoDaddy password. I want you to go into my GoDaddy account. You have full access to this, and so you can do all these. In this case, it was real estate flyers and postings. So, but that was level 5. I mean, it took months before I give them that level. However, like when you're hiring an employee or you're hiring a virtual assistant, the best thing, in my opinion, is to do is to kind of tiptoe them into that position. You don't say, if you're just starting a new business, I'm not saying if you run a Subway or you have 15 franchises, you do things differently. But if you're just getting started, just test them the waters a little bit, and then when they build that trust, then give them more and more responsibilities as their capabilities increase. Right,
and your trust factor increases. So I would say the reason why it was difficult for us was because usually, like, you have that the 5-factor system, or 5 steps, or however you want to call that. In order to have that 5 set up, you kind of have to have an idea of what your process is. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the difficulties we had, was because we didn't have all of our processes set up right away. You learn, and well, we thought we did, right? But you always change processes based on consumer, feedback. So, you thought it might be great to do this email this way, and then maybe this person answers this email and it's perfect. But in reality, they actually need somebody else to answer it a different way in order for that person, that consumer, that client, not to have a bad experience, right? Mm-hmm. So it's one of those, for instance, we have a cancellation form on our website now, because if they send an email that wasn't specific, right? It didn't say, "Oh, I want to cancel." Right? We didn't know they were really trying to cancel, where they're just kind of, sugarcoating it, right? And swinging around the name cancellation, but they never really said that word. So we created a form on our website for cancellation forms, right? That way we know it's a cancellation. They don't have to go in there and try to email and say it, and we, decipher, and translate. And so, you learn different things as you go. Mm-hmm. So that would be a difficulty, and also something to learn from.
Okay, and so you're saying for people to keep themselves open-minded to other processes that may be coming up that you may not be aware of, and
right,
and that's
mm-hmm.
Go ahead. And that's and I agree that is absolutely true, because I know I've grown a lot in my businesses, and even with this podcast show, mm-hmm. my my 10th episode was actually hired out by, I hired somebody else out to do that, to do the editing of the audio broadcast.
Right.
They're taking out all the ums and the uhs and things like that, where here in the video it stays in. However, in the audio is taken out because I want it to sound as pristine as possible to make both you and myself and the listener to be able to enjoy it in its entirety. But I am learning when I got the show back, episode number 10, which is with Robin. I was listening to the show. I was like, well, he forgot to do this, he forgot to do that, because I had actually already been through it. I've done 9 of these already, so okay, I know what I'm knowing what I'm listening for. I know what I want, and that's going to be the same with you, with your business. Either you be Brittany or you out there in the audience. Yeah. Learn those processes. And when you're just starting out, and then you start hiring people to do that, because then you can write a guidance manual, you can write a system checklist. You can say, this is how I want you to do A, B, C through all the way through G or K or Z or double A, whatever that is.
Exactly. Because if you have a process, you can hire it out. And also, if there's something that comes in, say a new email comes in and it's a different issue, you can change that process if it's necessary. Mm-hmm. You know where to change it. You know where the bug would be. And so I like processes. I think the foundation of your business is processes. If you don't have a good foundation, you don't have a business. So.
Well, and one of my early programs that I released was how to become a self-published author. And when I first wrote it out, it ended up being 6 episodes. And then it ended up being 38 when I was starting filming it.
Nice.
And then when I was on number 32, it's like, okay, I got to do this step. So wait, that step has to be back at step 8. It's like, otherwise I'm adding a whole bunch more steps to this. And what that step was, hey, you're loading up your book to Amazon is through a thing called CreateSpace, and that's okay. You get your ISBN number. I go, wait a second, you need your ISBN number for your formatter when you're doing your book way back in the past, because it has to be on that page and it has to be able to put it on the back cover. Like, okay, so that's step number 6 now becomes, here's this, we'll call it 6.5 is what you have to do. So yeah, when you're working out your system, you may realize when you're putting it together, like, hey, things have to be shifted around a little bit.
That's right. And as long as you're open to change, then you can adapt to new things, right? Or adapt whenever you put everything out on the table where you can see it all. Absolutely. I think you can be a very successful business owner.
Okay. Well, Brittany, tell us a little bit about, because you've been a multi-business owner. You own 3 businesses now. You said 3, right? Yes, you own 3 businesses now. And you've owned ones in the past, and I'm sure you're going to own more in the future. What for the budding entrepreneur that wants to either scale their business, or the person that is looking to start their business, what are some lessons or upbeat moments that you would like to give to them?
Consistency is key. If they are consistent, then at some point they will be successful. It may take them 20 years, but consistency is key. So that's tip number 1. I would say this tip number 2 is figuring out the right traction channel. So we have a video, and I can share it with you later, but there's 20 different traction channels, or 20 different ways to get people to do and engage with your business, whether it's sales, whether it's downloads on your app, whether it's signups for your newsletter, whatever it is, whatever traction you are trying to get, there's 20 different channels. The biggest piece of advice that I can give for early on, not to waste money on marketing, is they go through that whole all 20 methods, and they say, okay, what's the best option for each one of these? And they go down the list. So for instance, unconventional PR is one of them, right? Unconventional PR may not work, or you might not think it works for a book owner, right? But maybe it does. Maybe unconventional PR is the best possible answer. And if you just skip over it and say, oh, that's not for me, and you just keep going, you'll never know. So the best option is to go through, and then the next thing you do is figure out the cost of acquisition. So what that means is, how much does it cost you to get one transaction, one sign up, one app download, whatever it is. And then you go through and say the top 3, and you do 1 month of testing using those top 3 channels. And then whatever has the best ROI, or return on investment, or best, I'm trying to be better with my bringing it down, the best cost of consumer acquisition. So if it's $2 and everything else is $5, go with the $2. And then put all of your resources into that one traction channel. If you do this, you will eventually saturate that channel, but you will have the biggest traction in the least amount of time. And so it gives your business the chance it needs. At some point when it starts to die down, you do the traction method all over again. We call it the marketing method. And basically you just go back through those 20 channels again. And then you get down to 3, and then you test them 1 month, and then you go back into business. But it really creates a very strong and efficient way to market. So you're not spending too much money and time on things that don't work.
Okay. And when she was talking about consistency, because I know we talked about the Facebook postings and stuff like that, so being consistent on there. But you also mentioned about earlier in this show, you mentioned about going to 2 networking meetings every week.
Yeah.
That's another form of consistency, because it's not only what you're posting online, which is from people most likely that you already know, unless somebody you know shares it. Then everything else is getting out there and being in front of other people and sharing what you do with your business. So I want everybody to make sure that they heard that you have to be consistent online and offline. And that is what's critical. Depending on your business.
Right. If you have a brick and mortar, being online isn't as critical as being out in the community. Unless your business can be, again, sell e-commerce, or you're in a high traffic area like Las Vegas where we get lots of tourism. If you're a business that needs only online, right? Say you live in a very rural area, then going out and networking isn't really going to help you.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I would say depending on the business, but in most instances, yes, absolutely.
Okay, and that's a good valid point, because if you live in some Hoduck town in Rhode Island, and you're doing something that's all, let's say, life coaching as an example, then yeah, going to your local little farmer's market may not be the ideal scenario for you. So, but however, so if you've got a brick and mortar or an online business, whatever you're doing to gain clients or gain exposure, you need to be consistent about it. Getting those posts ready for Facebook, me with the podcast, I'm making sure I'm launching every single Thursday, or maybe as we take on more clients, maybe twice a week. So, but it's still being that consistent. And then if you do need to go to networking meetings, go to those meetings, join those functions, join your local BNI or LaTip or Team Network or whatever you have that has meetings, and go out there and make sure that you're staying in front of people's faces, because if you're not, people have a very easy tendency to forget about you unless something comes up that sparks them to think of you.
Yep. So on that note, if you use social media to do that, which is fantastic, by the way, when you create your post, you can tag people in. And so say you haven't seen somebody in a while, you can actually tag them into your post and say, hey, I missed you. I haven't seen you in so long. I saw this thing and it reminded me of you. Something like that. And that way you can pull people back in, but it's all digital, so you can do it from your home. So when you're out networking, the groups are great if you're consistent in those groups. But again, like I'm not really a part of any of the paid groups. I have joined Infinity, but I don't go every week. I do 2 networking events overall a week, and that's helped me to expand my horizons with everyone. And this sounds so small that you meet everybody else and all the other groups anyway, so you don't have to physically go to the exact same group. But I would say be careful, depending on your business, on the industry, with going and joining just one of the groups where you pay the $400 or whatever it is per year. If you just do that one group, it's not doing that group any favors, and it's not doing you any favors. You really want to go out and be consistent with networking, not just one group, because you need to be able to bring other people, other referrals to that group if you expect the referrals to come from the other people in that group.
Okay, well, it's a valid point. Thank you very much for sharing that. And then now let's talk about if the people that have been listening to the show want to work with you, how would they be able to get a hold of you? What's the best way for them to contact you?
Probably Facebook. Facebook is pretty easy. I'm there all the time. And then I have a business line, which is 702-600-9348. And
that is your business line. So either you or one of your staff members will answer this.
My staff. I don't ever answer that. So yeah, that makes it easier. And then my Facebook page, I have my staff also helps me with my personal and my business page.
Okay. And what is your business page?
It's Vital, VITAL, Medias, MEDIAS, and my website's just .com.
Vitalmedias.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those that want to get a hold of her, that her business line, one of her staff members will answer the call to find out what to help how they can help to fill their needs. And that telephone number is 702-600-9348. You can find her on Facebook as well as facebook.com/Vital Medias with no space, V as in Victor, ITALMEDIAS, or you can find her online through their website also at vitalmedias.com. Was that correct?
Absolutely. You're awesome. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to make sure that everybody can find you that wants to work with you. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast, I do want to ask you to, if you're on iTunes, to go ahead and rate this show. Just go to the little rate section. If you're 2 thumbs up or five stars up.
Right.
Or if you're on YouTube, definitely leave a comment below. Or if you're watching this on my website at kevinadunlap.com under the media section, both the video, it will be under the video interviews, and the podcast season 2 will be all the audios on this, whichever method that you prefer to listen to. And definitely leave a comment on that as well. I would be greatly appreciated. I'm sure Brittany would be greatly appreciated to find out how well she did. So, Brittany, before we go, are there any last words that you would like to give to the audience members here?
Just be consistent and look to others for help too. Don't think you can do it all on your own, because it's not possible. You really do need to depend on other people too.
And that's, I'm so glad you said that, because if you're going to have the consistency and you are going to be posting you need to be posting every day, things are going to happen into your life, like say vacation, illnesses, all these other things that are going to come up and you won't be able to do it. So having a second party doing it for you, or a third party doing it for you, is very critical. So definitely, if you're looking to build your social media platform, give Brittany a call. You've got her phone number, you've got her websites, and either herself or one of her staffs will reach out to you, see how they can actually give you a hand. And so, Brittany, I do want to say thank you for being on the show today, and yeah, I just want to say thank you very much, and thank you for the Mastermind. I thoroughly enjoyed going to it, so it's been very, very helpful.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit kevinadunlap.com, facebook.com/kevinadunlap.author, and on Twitter @Kevin A. Dunlap. We'll catch you on the next episode of Life's Little Lessons.